Nintendo fans are downright pissed today, and I want to discuss why. Because when we woke up this morning and watched the Switch 2 Direct, a lot of people were initially incredibly excited about a new Mario Kart, about new games, about new teases, about new features. Part of the fun of getting a new Nintendo console is not just better graphics and stuff, it's that, hey, here's a gimmick that lets you play games different. But ever since that Switch 2 Direct ended, we've gotten nothing but bad news. It turns out that a lot of the games are actually going to be $90 for a physical copy. We learned that the $90 copies, some of them are not going to be real games. You're paying $90 for an empty box with a game code in it. The console itself is expensive. You have to pay for the patches to upgrade it. So if you're trying to play a game like Zelda, that's better on the Switch 2, but it's going to probably cost you $20 to upgrade it. I want to go through all of it because I collected a bunch of different reactions of people straight up saying, I am not buying the Nintendo Switch 2. And I'm sort of shocked. I got to admit, I'm actually kind of blown away because a lot of people that typically would be hesitantly optimistic seem to be downright negative. But let's get into some hot takes. Hi, I'm DreamcastGuy, and if you could, please give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Now let's get into it. So this is a nice bullet list about things that were not in the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct that, in my opinion, these absolutely should have been. First off, Mario Kart World is $80. Physical games are going to be $90. You had to pay for upgrade patches. That kind of sucks. They are saying that some of them are going to be free. Specifically, the Nintendo website says that if you pay for that Nintendo Switch Online service, certain games are going to have a free upgraded Switch 2 patch. But here's the thing that is pissing off a lot of the internet instantly. Game cards are just keys for proxy downloads. Now, this has happened periodically with the Nintendo Switch 1, which is where when you buy it, it's not actually a cart. Now, some stuff is. Like, obviously, this is a Nintendo Switch. You pop it open, you get a little cart out. The game is on it. This little thingy here is not just a little cart. It's not a token. It is the actual data, meaning that if I put this in and I'm on a plane, I have no Wi-Fi, it'll still download, it'll still play, it'll still save, it'll still do everything. These games aren't that. These not only require an internet connection to download the game itself, the cartridge is useless without an internet connection. In fact, some people are saying this is DRM. Whatever hype I had for the system just died. I get this might not be very close to release, or I get this might not be every release, but I hate DRM being normalized. If I'm going to buy in a digital-only future where physical releases are this gimped, I'll stick to PC and Steam Deck. Yep, this is pretty discouraging. And this is it. They've literally released a box showing you, hey, these cartridges do not have data on them. They're going to sell you $90 keys. They're going to sell you an empty box with probably an instruction booklet and some cool art to put on your shelf, but it's going to cost $90. Now, some of the games they even showed during the Nintendo Switch Direct, people are pissed about, which this is one of them, Welcome Tour. This is a collection of tech demos, minigames, and quizzes for the Nintendo Switch Welcome. It is a paid downloadable launch title. This is like Astro's Playroom came free with the PlayStation 5. It's a fun little thing. It's got a platinum trophy. You run around, you test out. It basically says, hey, here's what's new and cool about your with your PS5 DualSense controller. This thing should be bundled with it. This is showing how greedy Nintendo is being. I'm trying not to say the word greedy because maybe they have some grander plan. This should not cost a penny. This should be free. This should come pre-installed. You turn your Nintendo Switch 2 on because you just paid $450 for it minimum. Yeah, you know what? Maybe I do want a little demo to walk around and see the new buttons and watch some explanations about it. Charging for this is egregious and downright stupid. Look at this. I went from yay to nay for the Nintendo Switch 2 in about 15 minutes. They are so dumb. Switch worked well because of its low entry point cost. It was a cheap alternative to PlayStation and Xbox, who kept raising prices. Now they're just going to be another PlayStation and Xbox, but with worse, leading the industry with insanely high game prices no one else has done yet. Honestly, this is such a brilliant point. The Ghost of Hope. This is such a brilliant point. A big chunk of the success of the original Nintendo Switch, the reason it's sold almost, 170 million Nintendo Switches have been sold, I do think a lot of that comes down to the fact that it was the cheap gaming alternative where you could buy a console for $300 or buy a Switch Lite for $200. I know so many people, almost every single friend I have, not only has a Nintendo Switch, has multiple Nintendo Switches. Or if they've got kids, there's the main Nintendo Switch that the kids play together on the TV, but then some of the little kiddos also have their own individual Switch Lite so they can play it and enjoy those games and pass the save files back and forth, making the system so expensive. Every game being $90 if you plan on actually having a physical cartridge you swap back and forth, that completely defeats the purpose of the Nintendo Switch of making this accessible, playable, fun, cheap entry gateway drug. You guys have no idea. I go to a lot of gaming conventions. The amount of people that have walked up to me, it must be at this point in the hundreds. People that said, I haven't played games in 10 years, 20 years. I used to play games back in high school. Then I went to college and had a family. I didn't have a chance to really sit down to take over the living room TV and play stuff until I got a Nintendo Switch. And now I play it when I travel. I play it when I'm waiting for my kids to finish band practice. The Nintendo Switch has made me a gamer again. I buy games. It's fun to experience it on my own or with the kids. They're basically just saying, screw that entire demographic, even though it's made them literally tens of billions of dollars. By their own admission, currently Nintendo has $13.5 billion in the bank, and I guess they're just trying to double that. But let me go. I have a bunch more hot takes. This is Mr. Matty Plays. I like the fact that he phrased it like this. He is a huge advocate for physical games. He's talked about it in a lot on his YouTube channel about the fact that he likes Xbox Game Pass. He's done a lot of Xbox-focused content, but he's basically, if I can buy a game, I always do buy a game. Hell no. Not for $90, not just for code in a box. That's the whole idea. The industry wants to cut out retailers and push you towards digital sales. I'm still excited for the Nintendo Switch 2, but this is a bummer because it will have a ripple effect. I've seen a ton of people talking about this, the fact that this is going to normalize some very bad business practices. You see this in every industry. If you're trying to placate it now, I'm going to go ahead and prep it for you. If somebody starts selling $90 games and they're selling millions and millions of copies of it, if the Nintendo Switch 2 ends up being a big success, other people are going to start to sell their game for $90. Everybody's going to try and say, well, maybe I can get away with it. And I think it's going to end up biting them in the ass, to be honest with you. I think a bunch of these people are going to think, oh, if Nintendo can get away with it, I can get away with it. And we're going to watch a bunch of games absolutely flop, a bunch of studios close because they think that this is a trend worth chasing. Something about Nintendo pulling the $80 trigger first rubs me the wrong way, at least with AAA games. They've ballooned so much and there's more justification there. I imagine that the rest of the industry is about to pull the trigger too. So expect PS5 games and PC games are all going to be $80 each. It feels weird that they were the first to do it. Feels wrong, honestly. It also means that Switch 2 games are now officially $20 more expensive than Switch 1 games, which is just such a dumb gap. I love this tweet by David Vent. This guy does like an RPG YouTube channel. I love his work a lot. And he said this. This is Claire Obscure Expedition 33. Honestly, that game looks insanely fantastic. It's a new turn-based RPG coming out at the end of the month, coming day one to Game Pass, and it's $40. Looks absolutely incredible. This is $80. Make it make sense. And I feel like this is such a great encapsulation where it's not even directly comparing it, but if I can get a long, fun RPG that's going to tell me it contains story and have cool soundtrack and interesting, unique art, and that's $40, or the Fun Kid race car game, which is going to be fun, and it's double the price, it's hard not to compare that. It's hard not to put them up next to each other. $450 for the console isn't even that bad. I'll gladly pay that, but ranging $70 to $90 for each game is unacceptable, and it's unreal to me that people are okay with it. I think that there are some people that are still kind of getting used to it. I did see some people sort of saying, okay, maybe this is a cause and effect. Maybe the Nintendo games are going to be better and more beautiful. We are paying for 4K assets and stuff. Maybe Nintendo's budgets are going up, but I don't really think they are. $450 for the Switch 2, $90 for physical games. Charging for the game's tutorial and game upgrades, Nintendo has lost their minds. In fact, think about the fact that Nintendo Switch Online used to be free. All consoles used to have free online. So now you're paying for cloud saves on your Nintendo. You're paying for Nintendo Switch Online. everybody is like, something about the video game prices being 20% of what you're paying for the whole console just doesn't sit right for me. A lot of people in this are specifically mad about that, saying like, bro, it's the economics. I agree with this take in that it is that cost-benefit analysis of, okay, I'm paying $450 for this console. That's an investment. I'm saving up. I care about this. I'm excited for that midnight release. I go and pick it up. All right, now I get that exciting moment of, now I've got the box. I get to open it. I got to bust it out, hook it up. All right, that's part of the experience. That $450 price tag is the investment to now I have this big leap in tech. It's the games I love, but now even better. New controllers, new gimmicks, right? But then every time I want a new game that I want to physically own, a $90 price tag, per game is, to me, unforgivable. Especially because, remember when people talk about the Switch tax? Companies would take a game and port it to Nintendo Switch and charge full price, where you get The Witcher 3, and it's $15 on PlayStation 4, and it's $60 when you buy it on the Nintendo Switch. We know for a fact they said they're bringing over things like Final Fantasy VII Remake and stuff to the Nintendo Switch too. That's cool. I'm not paying $90 for that, man. I'm the biggest Final Fantasy fanatic. Final Fantasy is my favorite thing ever. FF7 specifically is my favorite game of all time. That's literally, even this cart I popped out at the beginning of the video is the cart for Final Fantasy VII. I'm not paying $90 for that physically. I'm just not. It's just not worth to play that game. I'd rather play it on my Steam Deck. It's cheaper on Steam. It probably looks just about as good. It's just not damn worth it. Look at this. The prices of Switch 2 games killed any and all the excitement I had for it. Nintendo can go F themselves. I did see this meme and I liked it. This is the new home screen. This is how the Nintendo Switch menu will look because you can only afford one game. 75,000 likes on that. Oh my God. Insane. This is insane. This asking my manager for a raise so I can afford more Nintendo Switch 2 games. Overall, I want a Switch 2, but I won't lie. A lot of the news after the fact definitely deflated my hype. We'll attempt to grab one at launch, but I won't jump through any hoops to do so, especially as Donkey Kong Bonanza isn't a launch title. This is the thing I keep seeing again and again and again and again and again, is people saying, I was excited, I was hyped, I am the person that's been counting the days till the Nintendo Switch 2 and looking at every leak, but now it's killed my interest. They're trying to increase the physical game price to deter people from buying physical games, period. When we talked about the all-digital future, I always thought that it was Xbox ushering that age. The fact that Xbox just wants to be Netflix. Hey, subscribe to Game Pass, get Indiana Jones, get our games, get Halo, get Gears of War. Just get it on the service. We don't care about owning it. You don't care about owning it. Just pay to play. And everybody's been afraid about the all-digital future. What about when you don't own your library? What about when your console does become inert? What if your account crashes or whatever like that? I don't think anybody ever predicted that Nintendo would be the first person to really try to go hard in the paint and say, hey, we want digital only. Give up on your physical collections. But to me, that is what this feels like it's saying. But how do you feel about it? I wanted to ramble about this because honestly, I am genuinely shocked. This seems like such a bad business move that maybe it'll pay off. But right now on paper, it seems like a massive L, a massive one. But tell me your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like and subscribe if you haven't already. And please keep dreaming. What a train wreck. I genuinely had no idea this day was going to go. I assumed I'd make a video saying, wow, Nintendo Switch 2 looks great. I did not expect today to be filled with videos about how much of a blunder this was. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.